That is not approved by the FDA.
Nope.
And there are so many side effects to that thing, and it basically says you can die from this. I'm not saying I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this is not FDA approved, and a ton of side effects.
Let's talk about Sabu. Unfortunately, we experienced a big passing recently at the age of 60. Sabu. GCW is in the news, unfortunately, for allegedly supplying Sabu with a substance called Kratom in his final match. Joey Janela, which was Sabu's final opponent, refuted those claims. So April the 19th, I believe, was the GCW, was the Joey Janela's event. And he said this: I'm truly devastated over this, and this whole deal is really affecting me. Kratom is something Sabu took daily for years and helped him get off of other substances. Sabu loved his weed and Kratom. His body was wrecked doing what he loved for 40 years. I did an interview for that article 2 days after the match, not knowing what would transpire weeks later. And I said he was, quote, knocked out after that spot, when despite being a rough deal, he was not that. I was just trying to add to the lore and unpredictability of Sabu. I love Sabu. He was legitimately my idol growing up and my friend, and I just wanted to give him and the fans one last great Sabu spectacle. I'm sorry for lashing out at you, but your tweet caused a snowball effect that has many people saying I was in part responsible for my friend's death. Sabu was fine after. The day after, signed at WrestleCon, and has been doing many appearances since. I don't know what the cause of death. All I can say is I wouldn't change a thing, and happy he went out on top. So, that is one of those things. He talked about he had a guy with a John Wayne Gacy chess piece DM him and call him a terrible person, that he should die. He was called a murderer 1,000 times in the last 24 hours. Yeah, if you follow that tweet thread, man, people are out for his head, man. And so, but hey, that's the Twitterverse. That's the socials, man. It's like just really embellishing everything without even you're guilty before proven innocent in the world of social media, man. So
I would say to quote DMX, X gonna give it to you.
X gonna give it to you.
Well, do you know his story? I don't want to sidetrack, but wow, DMX is cool. But like he went through something. But
he did.
Let's carry on. I don't want to. I'm on Kratom right now, so I'm crazy.
Very nice. So I actually did a pretty lengthy class on pancakes and power slams about the psychological effects of the use of Kratom. So, yeah, broke it down.
Well, I looked into that a little bit today. First of all, bro, like that is not approved by the FDA.
Nope.
And there are so many side effects to that thing, and it basically says you can die from this. I'm not saying I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this is not FDA approved, and a ton of side effects.
I would challenge it in the sense that everything is.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And like I think Joey said it, like 85% of wrestling is on Kratom. Yeah, probably. And it's a plant-based, and it affects your opioid receptors. So it does have like these synergistic pain relief factors. Within moderation and purity of it, it's actually a really good thing. And I've known people too who have been on like heroin and have used this to get off of it. Granted, anything in excess, and wrestlers tend to do it that way, can have troubles and cause side effects. But, it's one of those slippery slopes as much as anything with marijuana or alcohol or meth, like there's some positives, not to meth, but then there's also the negatives that go with it.
But then, Chris, there's another side to this story, because I read an article where, the day of the show, Sabu was in the hotel room he was in really, really, really bad shape. Bro, one report I read was that his feet were bleeding, whatever that means. But it was crystal clear he was in bad, bad shape, and that's where they were. Get him his, what do they call that stuff?
Kratom.
What is it?
Kratom.
Get him his Kratom and get him to the building, okay? Bro, that's the thing about, we always talk about the wrestling bubble. Chris, if this is real world, you're on it. You're calling 911.
Of course
you're somebody's feet are bleeding, bro. Chris, you go upstairs right now. Your wife's feet are bleeding. I think you're calling 911.
No, I won't. No, I won't, Vince. I'm like, hey, hurry up, get this Kratom in you. Come on, hurry up.
Yeah, exactly. But that's exactly what we're talking about. In the normal world, you're rushing this guy to the hospital. No. In the wrestling world, you're getting into the ring. And who did we see that with? Numerous. Jake. Yep. We saw it with Scott Hall. No. We've seen that like time and time again where somebody should have been taken to the hospital. Yep. But in the wrestling world, we got to get him in the ring. Indeed. Come on, guys. Like, at some point, man, we got to smarten up.
Yep. Forgive me for not knowing. So, Sabu didn't die at the show.
No. So there's a lot that comes with.
But they did say, though, I'm sorry, Chris, they did say, though, EC3, when they got him to the building, like he was, everybody there, the boys in the back, like he was like out of it. Like he was like on another planet. I mean, the boys that were there said that.
I think we're painting the wrong villain. Like any drug or anything of that nature, we could point to. What if he did? No, he's probably been using it excessively for a very long time. I think probably has no effect on what has happened. But the real, villain's addiction and the things we don't really talk about or confront. Having used Kratom, if you will, like FDA approves OxyContin, but not Kratom, and they're in like, what is a better choice? Because the FDA approved that? Probably not. But it does have like a withdrawal to it too, because it's affecting your opioid receptors. So sometimes, like if somebody didn't get it and he's sitting there out of it, yep. Like he might just be going through withdrawal. And if anybody's ever been through withdrawal, it's terrible. So not to say anybody's right or wrong in this situation. I mean, if someone's feet are bleeding, yeah, I'm probably going to take him to the ER over the wrestling show. But
yeah. So, there's a lot when it comes to psychology and Kratom. And I'm not going to, I have a whole show that I talk about that for an hour, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But I will say this. One, we don't know what the cause of death is yet because the toxicology reports aren't out yet. So like we don't know that. So that's the only problem that I have with the onslaught of the social media. Like we don't know. He didn't die on the spot. He didn't die in the ring. You know what I mean? So we don't know if Kratom caused his death. Now, could it? Sure, possibly. You know what I mean? So we'll see that. But when it comes to Kratom, like there's typically when it comes to Kratom related deaths, there's a mixture of something else with it. So that's typically what happens when people die of Kratom. It's not, there's like Kratom related deaths and Kratom determined deaths. Kratom determined deaths is usually a lot lower than deaths that have Kratom. Like when someone's using Kratom, they're usually using something else with that. So it's just a very deadly concoction.
And I want to be crystal clear. I am not pointing the finger at anybody and saying that anybody is responsible for this. All I'm trying to say is a lot of times things are handled very differently in the wrestling business. That's what I'm trying to get across. Not that I'm blaming anybody for this, because like EC3 said, bro, when you got an addiction, man, like that's horrible.
Yeah,
absolutely horrible.
I'm not from a psychological standpoint. I'm not a big fan of like promoting kratom because it definitely can cause abuse to someone who was already abused substances. That's just often the problem is oftentimes people haven't curbed the abuse. They just have changed the substance, and so that's the issue when it comes to any type of substance. Kratom being one of them. If you haven't worked on and done the work on curbing the addiction, it doesn't matter what you put in your hand to consume, you're still going to have the addictive behaviors when it comes to that. So those are things that that's really, really important factor when it comes to kratom. And from what we know of Sabu, there were some other things that has happened to, that he's used throughout, his time to really, dude, he's been beating his body up for 40 years. In the most gruesome, physical, violent way, man.
I can't imagine.
And kratom typically, the reason why it's oftentimes consumed by not only wrestlers but athletes is it's usually, like you see through your right, it's usually it curbs what's OUD, opioid use disorder. It actually curbs that disorder. It also helps with chronic pain. Other substance use, things like heroin, you mentioned that too. That's correct. However, health experts call it legal heroin, and which is an interesting take on that. But when it comes to kratom, though, like the reason why it's used oftentimes is that the quickness of how quick that it can start working. It can work in just mere minutes, and it can last a few hours.
Yeah, so, I read that today. Yeah.
All right.
Experts.
What's that again?
I don't trust the experts right now.
You don't trust the experts. It is one thing with trusting the experts and to say I want to do what I want to do. So I mean, hey, that's two things that could be opposing. But hey, you're a grown man.
Yeah. To an extent.
All right.